Welcome to Eden Island Marina in the Seychelles, where you are about to join us on a once-in-a-lifetime charter experience through these gorgeous tropical islands, courtesy of the Moorings. Now, if you've never been to the Seychelles before, they are located in the middle of the Indian Ocean, roughly halfway between Africa and India, and they are renowned for having some of the cleanest waters and most beautiful beaches anywhere in the world. And we're going to show you as much as we can of that over the next few days. My name is Hugo Andreae. You're watching Motorboat and Yachting. Let's go boating. Let's start by giving you a very quick introduction to the boat. So this is a Moorings 403 Power Cat. We're powered by a couple of Yanmar engines. We've got a tender on the back. We've got snorkeling gear on board, and we've ticked a number of options boxes, including paddleboards. You can see we've got a paddleboard down each side. We've got a lovely big sun deck up front. We've got cushions to go out here. Love the fact that you can walk straight in and out through the main saloon here. We've got a paddleboard down this side. This is the flybridge. Got an outside helm up here as well as an indoor one. Lovely big table for eating at during the day. Bit of space to chill out on the aft deck or catch a bit of sunshine. Grill, fridge, everything you need to be self-contained up here. And of course you can completely wrap this with covers. Quick introduction to the motley crew then. This is my brother Tobin, his lovely wife.
First and only mate.
That's how sad it is. I've only got one friend and he happens to be my brother. This is his lovely wife Vanessa, and this
gin and tonic.
Very important role, also quite garrulous, and that is my wife Rebecca. So you'll be seeing a bit of them during the rest of the trip. This is the galley area. We've got a saloon here, we've got an inside helm, and we've got 3 double cabins. This is the owner's suite, where we will very selfishly be grabbing for ourselves. It's a full length of the starboard hull, goes into a very lovely bathroom in there. And then if I come back out and drop down into the port hull, one of the reasons we love these catamarans is it gives such great privacy, and you both get a really good cabin with plenty of light, good sized double bed. They have their own bathroom in here. That is a shared bathroom because there is a third cabin up in the bows on the port side, which we're just using for storage because we're being greedy and having the whole boat to ourselves. We are officially underway. We're just leaving Eden Island Marina itself. You can see some of the pretty villas that they've built up on the marina, and we're heading out into the Indian Ocean for the first time. Now the main island is called Mahe, and the Eden Island Marina is just south of the main capital city of Victoria. But you can probably already get a bit of an idea of just how beautiful it looks. The colour of the water alone looks very enticing. So we're going to head out, see if we can find a nice spot to drop the anchor and plunge straight into that very inviting looking sea. One of the joys of the Seychelles is there are so many beautiful bays that within half an hour of leaving the marina, we've already found this beautiful spot. We're anchored up between 2 islands. We've got Saint-Anne over on our port side and Moyenne over to starboard. We've dropped the hook in 20 foot of beautiful clear water, and we're going to swim over and do a little bit of snorkeling over on that reef there. You can see some of the granite boulders and the palm trees that are so distinctive of Seychelles that it really is just a perfect spot within minutes of leaving the base. It's day 2 of our charter. It's 8:20 in the morning. We spent a really lovely night at anchor, settled between Moyenne Island and Saint-Anne, cooked a beautiful bit of fresh tuna on the flybridge grill, and we're now taking advantage of a relatively early start to get going and make the passage across to Praslin Island. And you might be able to see on the chart plotter here, we're about a third of the way across. It's about 20 nautical miles across to Praslin. There is a little bit of a breeze, sort of 12, 14 knots of breeze on our starboard quarter, making it a little bit lumpy. As ever with a catamaran, you get a little bit of a sort of lurchy feeling, but we're making good progress, doing about 8.5 knots. Should be there in about an hour and a half and looking to find some shelter between the islands over there. This is our lunchtime stop. We've anchored in Osvolbert, and that little island there is called Chauve-Souris. And we've just anchored behind it to try and get a bit of shelter from the breeze, and then take the tender ashore, where we're hoping to find what is rumoured to be one of the prettiest beaches on Praslin. It's called the Côte d'Or, and there's lots of little restaurants and things in there to go and enjoy, so let's get going. This is where we have come for lunch. It's a little cafe called Café des Arts, and we have the prime table overlooking the beach and our boat, and a rather fine looking food of grilled octopus, ceviche seafood, prawn and papaya salad, and it all, frankly, looks rather gorgeous. And this is our anchorage for the second night. Beautiful little bay on Praslin, just round the corner, tucked out of the wind, sun setting behind the mountain, and lovely calm water. It's the morning of day 3 of our charter. We've just spent our second night at anchor in a very pretty little cove at the north end of Praslin Island called Anse Petite Cœur, meaning little heart. And perfectly as hoped, it's sheltered from the southeasterly breeze, which is blowing, but on the anchor here, it's felt perfectly safe. There's lots of space around us. Last night, it was so beautifully calm that we took the paddleboards out and had a little paddle into a private beach where they're just building a hotel here. At the moment, Tobin is off snorkeling over the reef, and the girls have walked into town to do a bit of provisioning. But our plan for today is have a relaxed morning. We've eaten on board, and now we're going to go off and explore, perhaps around Curieuse Island, which is about a nautical mile over in that direction, and then probably nose round the end of the island and see if we can find another sheltered beach and anchorage round there. But so far, it's everything I dreamed of. The water is so clear, so beautiful, so warm, and the scenery is simply stunning. So if the week carries on like this, we're in for a very good time indeed. Welcome to paradise. This is our 4th morning of the charter. We're anchored up in Anse-Lazio at the north end of Praslin. You might just be able to see the boat behind me here. We had a little bit of an interesting day yesterday. When the wind was coming in, we suddenly lost control of our anchor. The little remote handset wasn't quite working. We had a loose connection. But one of the joys of chartering through someone like the Moorings is that they have such good technical support. So we managed to get the anchor up, pot around to Anse-Lazio beach, give them a call, and within hours, they'd agreed to send a technical support from Mahe Island, who came out, and at 5 o'clock he was with us and sorted it all. But I've got to say, there are a lot worse places to be stranded than on Anse-Lazio beach. This is one of the most famous beaches in the Seychelles. It's absolutely typical of the area. You can see these beautiful pink granite rocks behind me, turquoise waters all around. We've got the takamaka trees, and we had an absolutely perfect evening. Anchored up, we ate on board. This morning was another typical start. We had fresh fruit of fresh papaya, bananas, passion fruit, and a quick dip in the sea just to wake ourselves up. And our plan for today is probably go for a little bit of a swim, then take the boat out, hopefully maybe go and have a little bit of a look at Curieuse Island, maybe see if we can find a giant tortoise, or if it's too windy, we might head straight across to La Digue, where we're booked in for the night, and hopefully another perfect Seychelles experience. Heading towards La Digue on day 4. So it's 2 o'clock on day 4. We've come into La Digue, where there is this very pretty little port, just big enough for a few boats, but it provides a bit of extra shelter and means we can leave the boat here for a few hours and go off and explore the island. But I just wanted to show you what we're having for lunch. Master Chef Tobin has prepared a little something. What have we got for lunch then, Tobin?
We have got a bastardised Greek salad, a sort of Italian Greek salad, an Alfonso salad, tomatoes, locally, obviously, thank you very much, cucumbers, mozzarella, local herbs dressing. Over here, smoked marlin with local lemon limes. And over here, the most crucial ingredient of all, it's a glass of Chateau Co-op with hints of sweat, sun cream, stress, and happiness.
Excellent. That doesn't sound too shabby. Let's get stuck in. We've come for a little stroll along the beach at La Digue to Anse-Sévère, where there is very beautiful snorkeling. It's quite low tide at the moment, so it's a bit of a struggle across the coral to the drop-off, but once you do, it's very beautiful. Well, it's the morning of our 5th day, and Tobin and I have cycled over to the south side of the island on Condance, because we'll have to be crossing this in an hour or two's time. And beautiful as the beach is, it is looking a little bit lumpy out there. So fingers crossed it's not quite as rough as that when we get to it, but La Digue is absolutely beautiful. We've just hired some bicycles and cycled across, and it's beautifully done. There are tracks everywhere. It's a really lovely place to hang out for a few days and explore by bicycle, by foot, a bit of snorkeling, a bit of beach. It's got everything, but it's less developed than some of the other islands, so rather a lovely vibe about it. As we feared, it is a little bit rocky tippy out in the sea today. We've got the long crossing from Praslin or La Digue over to Mahe. If I just pull the map in a bit, you can see we've been cruising around all these islands for the last 4 or 5 days, and now we're trying to make this long crossing back to Mahe. It was about 24 miles when we set off this morning. We've still got about 16 to go, and we're cruising at sort of somewhere around 6-7 knots, but unfortunately it is a really messy beam sea. And the one thing about catamarans is they're pretty good into a head sea, they're pretty good downwind, and they're very good indeed when it's calm, but when you've got a rolling swell on your port quarter, especially in a relatively short 40-footer, without any steadying sail, you can probably tell we are rolling around a fair bit. But I have every confidence. We did quite a rough crossing in one of these in Croatia last year, and we're making progress. We've done the first 8 miles. We've got another 16 to go. But with any luck, we'll be back in the calm waters of Mahe when you next see us. And that's the last they ever heard of him. So after a rather rough crossing today, we've made it into Beauvoland Bay, where conditions are absolutely perfect. Got the paddleboards out, put the anchor down, got the tender out. Couldn't be a more perfect Seychelles afternoon. Well, given that we had a slightly challenging crossing in fairly rough conditions, we've decided to treat ourselves with a bit of an evening cocktail.
Cheers!
Cheers. We just thought we'd try our luck at a little bit of fishing. They've lent us a fishing rod on the boat. What you aiming to catch, Tone? Lunch. Well, it is the morning of day 6 of our charter. We woke up in Beauvoland Bay after a very quiet night at anchor there, having our cocktails in the evening. And this morning we've motored round to a very pretty little bay called Anse Major. And if we look round here, this chap here is just coming in. He is the local octopus and fish man. And I think with any luck, if he's got something tasty, we might just take him up on the offer. Just check out how pretty the surroundings here are, though. The tiniest little bay with a perfect little beach, inaccessible from land, and just enough room for 3 or 4 boats to tuck in away out of the southerly wind. One of the rather fun things about swimming around a catamaran is that you can actually swim through the hull. So I thought I'd show you what that feels like. It's rather magical. Get a slightly eerie, iridescent blue coming down the hull. But it's a good 2 feet of headroom. A slightly echoey sound. A bit like you're in a tunnel.
It's nearly as good as the Centre Parks log flume.
It is just a little bit better than that.
Here he goes. What? Oh, not bad.
You might have noticed that eating has become a little bit of a theme for this particular holiday, but forgive me once more, because if there's a more perfect spot to have lunch, I've yet to see it. We are in a stunning little bay called Anse Jasmine, where there's just enough room for 2 or 3 boats. Spectacular turquoise water. We're having a tuna bean and lettuce salad tucked into this amazing spot. There's a couple of other charter boats just beside us, but it couldn't be more peaceful. You would never know that out at sea there's sort of 15, 16 knots of breeze. But in here, it's perfectly still. We've just been snorkeling around this bay here. There's lots of lovely rocks and coral formations and tropical fish swimming in and out. And having explored it all before lunch, we're now taking advantage of the heat of the day to eat up here in these stunning surroundings. I thought it might be interesting to show you the whole sort of anchoring and lifting anchor process. So we start by starting the engines, press the 2 on buttons, fire up each engine, just turn off that monitor. And we're using these little headsets, which I found really useful. So you'll see Tobin down there is wearing a headset with a little remote on his arm. I've got exactly the same one, and it just means we can communicate with each other without having to shout. So I can ask Tobin to point out where the anchor is. Okay, so it's directly forward. We're just going to nudge forward. Tobin can start to lift up the anchor when he's ready. Okay, lift anchor. So the first thing to do, we're on a bridle. Because it's a catamaran, we have to lift up the bridle because that's what holds it between the 2 hulls. So what he's doing now is just raising the chain until he gets to the end of the bridle. That's the bridle coming up. He then unhooks the bridle. That snapped onto a little retainer. Now the anchor is ready to come up. So if he just points out where the anchor is, where the chain's lying, I think we're pretty much over it, actually. Oh, actually, we've gone slightly too far, so we'll nudge back. It's some curious little eddies in this bay. It's quite hard to know where the wind's coming from. It's a little further back. Okay, we're directly over it now, so I'm going to hold position there. Lift up the anchor. We've made sure to choose a sandy patch. You can see it's so clear, the water. You can see where the rocks are, where the sand is. So always make sure you drop over a bare patch of sand, just avoids the anchor getting caught. We're in about 15 feet of water here, so plenty of depth. Okay, anchor up. Couple more feet to go. There we are. This is pretty much as good as it gets when you're paddleboarding around on clear blue waters, almost no wind. You're floating home behind you, anchored in Boat Bay. This truly is the life. It doesn't get much better than this. Over the reef, the water is so clear. I swam over a whole school of ray earlier this morning. You could see them all flying along like a squadron of jets or something. It was amazing to watch. But the water is so clear you can see down even on the paddleboards. Have you seen anything on your trips?
Yes, I saw a very beautiful, huge school of what I shall technically call bluefish.
We did see turtles earlier on, sadly not on the paddleboards, but from the boat we saw a couple of turtles poking their heads up. So it really is so much to see and do, even when you're just paddling around. Hard to believe it, but this is our final morning. But what a glorious morning it is. We've woken up in Boat Bay, the sun is shining, the water is as clear and perfect as ever, and we're all setting up to say a rather sad goodbye. But before we did that, I just wanted to ask some of my crewmates, what are the highlights for them of this holiday?
Incredibly boringly, but I hope of use to some people. In a world where lots of people have to work even while they're away, the boat has had a very strong and stable Wi-Fi connection that has meant I've been able to stay in stable comms throughout the trip, which has helped make the whole experience more enjoyable, and it's an extremely comfortable and lovely way to have to work from home if you have to, as I have done.
Fair point. Ness?
I think for me, it's all the benefits of being on the sea with none of the sand. I hate sand.
Becca?
And just being able to swim and snorkel and just early morning dips, it's a perfect platform for discovery of the many, many islands that are out here in Seychelles, which are beautiful.
Absolutely, you do get so many options. There's always somewhere where you can tuck away from the wind. But yeah, for me, I think it's probably topping and tailing each day. It's the swim before breakfast and the unbelievable fresh fruit you can have every morning. The passion fruit, the mangoes, the bananas are out of this world. And then second favourite, or probably the favourite time of the day, gin and tonics on the flybridge, 6 o'clock with breadfruit chips and a few peanuts or whatever the local snack is. It's unbelievable. So cost for this, I suspect you're going to want to know, starts at around £4,500 for 6 nights, 7 days. It's also worth pointing out that you can get a professional skipper if you want to. Costs about another £1,000 or so, but it does mean that it takes all the stress out. If you're not a confident boater, then they can show you all the local areas. If you're into it and you know what you're doing, it is a superb cruising space. There's always somewhere to tuck away from the wind. Every island has its own little unique character. And as you've seen from the scenery around us, the water, the hills, the granite boulders, the sands are out of this world. So just remains me to say thank you very much to the Moorings for lending us the boat. Thank you very much to the Seychelles for hosting us. And thank you very much to my crew for being cooks, companions, and all-round fantastic support. It has been a wonderful week.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.